What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with more Destiny 2 news and updates. Quite a few coming directly from Bungie today regarding content dropping this week. A list of items which will be disabled for the launch of the new dungeon this reset. On top of that, Bungie have extra changes, some that they've already made for the new episode, and others that they're going to drop in a patch very soon. Plus we'll talk about busted exotics. We'll also talk about a curious 9 item that we've got access to as part of the episode, the potential implications of that, as well as an update to Xur, discussion around the length of this season. Bungie have now hidden the count showing remaining days for the episode in the Season Pass. We'll talk about what that could mean. A potential connection between New Land Beyond, the reprise for No Land Beyond from D1, and the upcoming expansion, new trailer, and a whole bunch of other things. So guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed the video, but now let's get into it. So some basic updates initially. Bungie have said, we've resolved the following. Firstly, Hawthorne now has the Vault of Glass Fated Deep Side quest in her inventory, so if you're farming any of the updated Vault weapons, be sure to pick that up. On top of that, they say the Tome of Want now lists the appropriate weapon rewards, including the Abyssal Edge Sword. So those are some good fixes. Otherwise, they say players who abandon the main quest for Act 1 can reacquire it at the Shaping Slab in Heresy's flat. That's good to know. And we discussed yesterday the fact that we can now equip the exotic class glaives on any of our characters. The same is applying for class-specific swords, but Bungie clarified this isn't intentional. However, they won't be prioritizing a fix for this in an immediate patch. So for the near future, we will continue to be able to use these, which is nice. Although there's a caveat to that, which I'll talk about in a moment. Separately though, DMG confirmed for the Heresy weapons, the Adept versus Shinies versus double perk versions, basically it all comes down to a chance drop. Both the normal and Adepts can roll with extra perks and extra origin traits, but Adepts come from higher difficulties, and extra perks and traits are the added layer to be somewhat comparable to holofoil hunts from Into the Light. So with the exception of Adepts dropping in the Expert version of the Nether, otherwise we can get shiny normal weapons, shiny Adept weapons, or normal Adept weapons. There are a few variations. The Shinies, for the moment, with the exception of the Adept mods, are probably the best versions, right? Because they're already masterworked and they've got the most perks. So keep that in mind. Regarding the Sundered Doctrine dungeon though, Bungie have offered a preliminary disabled item list, and they say they'll be updating this list as more items are identified, and they plan to have a completed list locked in by 7 AM Pacific on Friday morning. But they add, if you're planning to engage in the dungeon race, we recommend stocking up on infusion materials, prepping multiple builds, and being ready to pivot on a dime. So they're leaving it pretty open-ended. For the moment though, the actual list is quite short. Microcosm is currently disabled in general in the game due to an ammo glitch. That'll remain the same for a little while, so it includes the dungeon. Otherwise, for contest mode, so between Friday at daily reset and Sunday at daily reset, the auto-loading holster perk and the class-specific exotic glaives will be disabled. Like we said, that list is going to grow, so I'll link the article down below and you can keep up to date with it. For our first peek at the dungeon though, Bungie have finally offered the trailer for it, so let's check it out in full.
Play a game with me, Guardian. Imagine yourself among the dread. All these secrets, all these hidden passages. This ship's a tricksy one.
Obviously, we are back on Rulk's pyramid ship right there. We see primarily Dread and Hive enemies throughout. Very cool architecture. Going back to many of the Witch Queen vibes there, which is neat. I'm sure symbols will play into this quite a bit. And here, we appear to have the boss, which looks like a Strand Scion of some sort. So it looks pretty cool. It doesn't really reveal too many rewards. We did get a bit of a glimpse at the exotic recently. But yeah, let us know down below if you'll be diving into this new dungeon. I'm certainly curious to check it out. To round up a couple of other interesting bits though, briefly, players are asking the question, what is the curio of the 9 item? This one actually drops, I think, in the intro quest initially. It doesn't currently have a use, and it says the 9 do not wish to reveal its purpose yet. While it doesn't currently appear to have a purpose, guard it with your life, as it cannot be reacquired if discarded. From what I can see in the database, there'll actually be a handful of triumphs which will give us more of these, so it's not going to be a single-use thing, by the looks of it at least. Obviously, the Drifter is a component of this episode, so there is a connection to the 9 right there, but a mild spoiler alert right here, as none of this is strictly confirmed, but in one of the leaks regarding Frontiers a few months ago, it spoke about Heresy and Frontiers and said the finale for this year is about powering the Dreadnought using a black hole created from the 9 anomaly. And eventually, we can use that to leave the solar system and hunt the remaining echoes. So potentially this relates mostly to some kind of story component, content that we're going to get a bit later on in the episode, I would assume, and that potential connection to the upcoming expansions where we will indeed finally leave our system. So there could be some weight to that leak. It's certainly a bit of a wild coincidence if it isn't true. So I think there could be something there. As for how it will factor into actual gameplay, we will just have to wait and see. On the subject of the 9 though, players also speculated, could that item be linked to Xur? Best I can tell at the moment, that doesn't appear to be the case. I've had a look at Xur's inventory in the database, and there's nothing related to the Curio, although it did lead me to discover that Xur got a small update for this episode, introducing some armor from previous seasons. So the Season of the Deep armor has been added, as well as Season of the Witch armor, the kind of Savathûn-inspired sets, are now in Xur's inventory, so he'll be able to sell those again shortly, but that inventory is random, so how long that may take, we will just have to wait and see. Since we're discussing Frontiers and things related with that though, players this week discovered that the Season Pass suggested this episode would be 161 days in length, which takes us up to July 15th, a bit later than what we probably anticipated would be a release date for the first expansion this year. However, after Bungie had noticed that and players started to speculate, they've actually removed the amount of days count from the Season Pass now. So it doesn't really tell us why. That could have been a placeholder amount of time. It could be that Bungie simply don't have a release date in mind or confirmed yet for Frontiers. It could mean that Frontiers is going to be pushed back and delayed, as we've seen with many expansions. The most recent thing they said is that the destination for Frontiers, or the first expansion, is content complete. So it kind of indicated that Bungie were on track, at least in December of last year. But precisely when this will drop is anybody's guess, so I'm hoping Bungie do give us an idea soon. Obviously, I want to know when the content will actually drop, how long this episode will last for. But the other element, of course, is that sometimes you just want to fit Destiny around your life, so I'm anticipating getting a release date for this at some point soon, or at least commentary from Bungie as to how things are progressing, but maybe that's a couple of weeks away from now at the earliest, as Bungie are focusing on the launch of Heresy for the moment, which is fair enough. Bungie Leaks did share, though, some gameplay of the model for the New Land Beyond, which is a returning No Land Beyond. So we can see it right here. I don't know anything about how this is achieved, some kind of glitch or hack that allows the model for the weapon to be applied to another weapon and the behavior to change, something like that, but basically it lets us look at No Land Beyond early. Although it's not really anything shocking because it looks more or less the same as it did in D1, although it's a different colour here. There is, however, speculation that this could be linked to Frontiers, perhaps a pre-order bonus or something like that, and the title, New Land Beyond, would certainly lend to that theory. Either way, give us your thoughts below. Some final bits of roundups here though, and regarding the Nether and healing weapons, things like Crimson or various abilities. DMG said the team is looking to bring many options up to feel good, but I'll be clear, a few outliers that fully heal players will be toned down a bit. Overall though, the goal is to give players build crafting options and the ability to embrace a healer fantasy. I'm actually a very big fan of the Dreadnought and the way that this activity works overall. I'll be completely transparent about it though. A lot of the time when I've been running the Nether, I've been doing it with a team, and even in its current form, that makes a massive difference to the healing component, right? Because you've got teammates dropping orbs on the ground, more abilities, healing coming from, support frame weapons, things like that. However, when you play the Nether solo in the exploration, it can actually be really rough without having more healing options, whether it's coming from weapons like Red Death or indeed abilities. So while I think it is a really good activity, there's definitely work for Bungie to do there. I like the idea of having to sort of focus on being able to heal and hunting that stuff down, but I can understand in the current format how it could be sort of spoiling the experience for a lot of players. So share your thoughts below. Bungie had said they might have changes and updates to this as early as next week, so I'm hoping that's the case, and I'll keep you guys posted. For today though guys, that's what we have to speak about in the video, so if you've enjoyed it, a rating below helps us out no end. Once again, share your thoughts on this new season, episode, whatever it's called, down below. I'll be back later with a better look at a bunch of dungeon rewards, so stay tuned for that, but otherwise, cheers for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.